What is going on, guys? Welcome to J Music. As you can see, a little bit of a different change up here. I moved my desk, so surprise. That is where the inspiration came as far as for moving the background here. But the reason for this video, I was thinking about some of my favorite guitar players, right? Some of my favorite guitar players that really motivated me to learn guitar. So obviously Hendrix is in there, John Frusciante is on there definitely, and even just artists that aren't guitar players. So you have John Coltrane, Charlie Parker, going back to guitar players, Grant Green, Wes Montgomery, various artists that really motivated me to play guitar, inspired me, Jack White, but not necessarily artists that I wanted to play like them or I think I play like them, more so just people that I was inspired by playing. But the connection to me that I thought was interesting was I always hear certain people try to downplay legends like Hendrix or legends like Slash or even legends like Charlie Parker or legends, where they had high drug addiction. They had drug addictions. They had drug addictions, and you know, thought that they weren't as good of players as they're kind of held up to be, which I find really interesting. I don't know if you've heard this before, but definitely there's a lot. I feel like it's happening more today than ever before. Maybe the last 10 years, where I feel like there's a lot of people where they have the audacity to really criticize these artists. And everyone has a right to their opinion, but I think there is a difference between what's factual and what's not, right? And obviously, when it comes to music, everything is subjective, but I do think there are some facts within certain parameters or to a degree, or there's enough evidence to prove that there is a high argument. So, main point is, are these guitarists that I'm referring to, are they not as great as they say they are? Right? Because of the drugs. Some people think that the drugs were enhancements of them playing how they played, and some people say, oh, for example, people say, oh well, Hendrix, he had the newest tech and pedals and whatnot, and he kind of had new technology within the guitar world with a lot of those major performances, and that's really what led to his just how him being famous, right? Him taking LSD, that being a proprietor, a proponent of him being famous. And I just think that's BS, just personally, and there's a few reasons why. And I kind of wanted to go down the list in my mind for some artists that they shouldn't be held back by their drug addiction, their demons, what have you. So, for example, first thing, obviously, not a guitar player, but obviously highly influential in music, Charlie Parker, right? Charlie Parker, if you guys don't know who Charlie Parker is, God help you. No, I'm kidding. I mean, he's arguably one of the most recognized artists in jazz, period. He changed jazz. People still, to this day, conservatories across the country, studying Charlie Parker for years as far as for how he plays, playing over chords, just how he, does focuses on certain rhythms, just various amazing things that Charlie Parker does. And then on the other side of the spectrum, Charlie Parker is also known to be a heavy drug addict, right? He got into heroin at a very young age, 16 years old, if I'm not mistaken. Was known for kind of disappearing for weeks on end, you know. Um, so the interesting with Charlie Parker is, though, like I said, that he is one of the most recognized jazz musicians in the world. Charlie Parker also played 15 hours a day. He played multiple days, extended hours of playing, right? He put in the time, he put in the 10,000 hours, if you will, that led him to just being such an iconic figure that he is. Hendrix, an extensive knowledge of playing in a band, playing with people. I was he played played in various, bands, just kind of as a rhythm, guitar player before him being a front man. So he has a sense of, chord changes, a sense of just kind of tension and release, knowing what chords to play over, things like that during melodies. So, Hendrix was no dummy. He didn't just play two or three chords and that was it. He has a very strong sense of rhythm as far as music, improvisation, how to connect those things. And obviously, he had various influences too, like Buddy Guy, for instance. He even closed, stopped his own show to go to see Buddy Guy. Slash, another one I thought of in the conversation previously. He was on a pacemaker at a very young age because of the heavy alcohol that he was intaking alongside with other things, other substances. But he's not a dummy either, right? Very skilled guitar player. Some of the most iconic riffs in rock, period. So no dummy to that. Uh, John Coltrane, right? He's a little bit different of a sense because at one point he was heavy on drugs, and then nearing at the end, I believe it was not. I think he was sick, but he had a case where he was on drugs at one time. But Coltrane practiced extensively as well. There was a book where it was heard that he even practiced in his sleep, in a sense, or practiced without even playing noise throughout his saxophone at night, just getting these ideas through his head, and then just as far as just kind of really having the notion of just going through and practicing to his degree, or just having just the music in his mind trying to get out, or just thinking about it. So he practiced extensively also. So I just think it's very interesting how there's people are just so quick to downplay a lot of artists that they had. Oh, John Frusciante, and of course another one, right? And he is one of my favorite players, and I took a lot from him. I took a lot from a lot of other artists as far as just things that inspired me. But how I play solos and whatnot, I really learned a lot from him specifically. And I'm a huge RCP fan, specifically the music that he was involved in, that he made, for a lot of that music. I'm a huge fan of John Frusciante, and I loved his solos. There's such an emotional intensity to them. He had a great sense of space when he's playing those notes. So it wasn't just like a space full of notes. How many notes can I play in a minute? It wasn't anything like that. It was really sensual and dramatic, and you really felt it. And you know, amazing. Amazing, and I really learned a lot of that. That's really learning from learning great solos. Hendrix, but then Frusciante for me, that's one of the bigger ones that I learned from. So I just thought it was interesting, just as far as just really people downplaying, the music as far oh they did drugs, they're not as good as they say they are. Like get out of town, you know what I mean? Like get out of town, like do your research, and I just find it to be interesting, and it to me it just motivates me to practice and to keep going. So, don't want to make this longer than it is. This thought it'd be an interesting conversation to discuss, or disappointed me discussing it with y'all. Of course, leave it in the comments if you guys, have any thoughts around this. If you know of any artists that have kind of been downplayed based on their prior demons in history, but are amazing guitar players. So, anyway, J-Pop Music, thanks for watching. See you next video.